you can actually reprogram your mind and shift your attitude such that, for example, when you go to the office and all the coworkers there are passing around, a giant box of free donuts that the boss has brought in and pigging out on those, you might want to pig out on one of those donuts too. But you also know in the back of your mind, this is not healthy for you. It's not good for you. You're probably going to feel bad after you eat it in an hour, and you're probably going to regret it the next day, so forth. You can feel better relinquishing that donut than all your coworkers combined will feel eating that donut. There's a certain mature joy that comes from renouncing something unhealthy. And conversely, there's a certain joy that comes from consuming something healthy. Health as a value, and by health, I don't just mean your physical body or like to not be fat. I mean health in a spiritual way, really. I mean it in the deepest possible sense of health. We've talked about health before in my episode about holism and holistic thinking, part 1 and part 2. I gave you an equation. Part of that equation, remember I talked about holism, health, healing, oneness, unity, love. Remember all that kind of stuff? We made this master equation. I told you to write it down as an important equation. Well, we're bringing back that concept here. That equation plays into what I'm talking about here because, like, health is really about holism and oneness. It's about wanting to be whole, and this is a function of consciousness. When consciousness functions in a holistic, intelligent manner, its nature is to be healthy. And when consciousness is unhealthy, if you have a dysfunctional mind, it's a fragmented mind. It's a conflicted mind that is fighting with itself. That's what selfishness ultimately is. It's a conflict within consciousness. It's distorted, it's corrupted. Right? So when we're talking about the value of health, the principle of health here, to have an attitude of falling in love with health is not just to not eat the donut because you're not going to look like how you look in the mirror because you're going to be too fat. It goes way deeper than that. It's like, no, if I'm not healthy in all the dimensions that health pertains to, then in a certain sense, I'm disrespecting life. I'm disrespecting consciousness. I'm disrespecting myself, and I'm disrespecting God. That's the level you want to take it to. And we're talking about not just the food you put in your body, not just the way that you exercise, but also the way you communicate with other people. Is that healthy? Are your relationships healthy? Is your mind healthy? Is the information you're putting into your mind on a daily basis, is that healthy? Or is that toxic and dysfunctional and corrupt? Are the systems you're participating in, are they healthy? Like the company you work for, is it a healthy company or is it a dysfunctional company that is a predatory company that is producing a net negative impact on the world or society? You see, this matters because if you're working for a company that you don't believe in its mission and its purpose, and it doesn't align with your values, then that misalignment already is going to make you disillusioned and depressed about life in subtle ways that you may not fully appreciate for 10, 20 years. And see, so when you cultivate this attitude and like the joy that comes from doing healthy things, this is a sort of a more holistic approach to the problem of, like, for example, losing weight. Because see, when most people want to lose weight, they're like, Leo, give me 3 quick steps for how to lose weight for my wedding that's coming up. It's like, this is completely the wrong approach. The right approach is to develop this attitude of reverence towards life and consciousness and to yourself and your mind, to the point where you don't want to poison yourself with bad food because you see how this is going to damage not just your body in the short term, it's going to damage your mind, your brain, your ability to think, your ability to be creative, your ability to ultimately honor God and consciousness. You see, it's going to reduce your ability to be mindful and to concentrate and to maintain focus. And and you're so conscious of that it's easy for you to say no to the donut in that case. You're not even tempted in that case. because you would be losing your very connection to life if you did that. That's the depth of the attitude you need to have to build an amazing life, to fall in love with life, to really see how much you're respecting yourself in this case and how much you're respecting consciousness. You have too much respect for yourself and for consciousness and for the miracle of reality to live it in such an artless way of just stuffing yourself like a pig with donuts just because your boss brought them in. It's like, yeah, Leo, but they're free. Yeah, but like, how little respect must you have for yourself to stuff your mouth with poison that's going to disrespect the entire universe just because it's free? Or conversely, you could go to your local market and buy some, organic fruit drink, healthy fruit drink, or some, fresh fruits or some vegetables or whatever, or go do some juicing at home, that's going to cost you a bit more. It's going to take more effort. It's not going to be as popular as eating the donuts with the friends at work. But see, when you go and you say no to the donuts and you go to the grocery store instead and you drink a healthy, celery juice or something like that instead, there's a higher level of joy you can get out of that. But that's not something that comes straight from the celery juice. It's not like you're going to drink that celery juice and it's going to be like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, it's as good as a donut. No, it's not as good as a donut. If all you're doing is just you're comparing like the raw pleasure of a donut versus a celery juice. But what you can do is you can program your mind with this attitude, this larger respect and purpose that you have in life, that by fulfilling on your purpose and by sacrificing and honoring on behalf of this larger purpose that connects with your spirituality, you can get a deeper high, sort of a mental high, a spiritual high from executing on those healthy activities that you need to execute on versus eating that donut, the pleasure in eating that one donut. But that's something you have to create for yourself, using your mind deliberately, consciously. See, because the thing with the donut is that the donut, you can give it a donut to an idiot and the idiot will still enjoy its taste because it's like a direct hit on your, pleasure tongue receptors, so to speak. Whereas with the celery juice, it doesn't work that way. It's not that same. In fact, when you're drinking a celery juice, it tastes a little bit gross. So why would anyone ever drink it? Well, because there's a higher overriding value of health. And what you're really getting pleasure from is not from the celery juice, but from the health that the celery juice is providing to you. But that requires extra mental construction, you see. You have to know what you're living for. You have to have a vision of health. Because health is a long-term thing. It's also a much broader thing than just the food you eat. And see, when you have a very high-level, abstract, and proper understanding of health that isn't just based on particular foods, but it's just sort of a whole attitude towards life, then what you can do is you can create a sort of a synergy, like the celery juice you drink here instead of the donut that you could have eaten, and then, the exercise you do, the yoga exercise maybe you do instead of just sitting on the couch all day or at the computer, and then maybe the healthy corporations that you apply with your resume to versus the unhealthy ones that you avoid, and so forth. This all interconnects together. And then when you're executing on all of that successfully, this gives you the deepest fulfillment you can get in life. This is real happiness. It's sustained. You feel great about yourself. You feel great about your life. You have high self-esteem. You feel strong. You're living up to your own values. You're not sabotaging yourself. You're in alignment. You're holistic, right? To be holistic means that all the parts of you are working together in a synergistic manner towards some higher ultimate purpose, which let's say is, in this case, consciousness or love. This is what makes your life worthwhile. This is what makes it meaningful. This is what gives you integrity. Integrity is deeply related to the concept of holism. Integrity is wholeness. A lack of integrity is a fragmentation of your mind and your life. When you're saying one thing but doing another thing, lack of integrity, lack of consistency. This actually robs you of mental energy, makes you feel bad about yourself because you're not living up to your own ideals.